10 students and a professor sit around a long table at one of the first buildings built on Ball State University's campus on the first day of the spring 2019 semester. They come from all different parts of the Midwest, they have different majors, and they have no idea that this course that they walked into would become a representation of the last 60 years of the Honors College. Their immersive learning course titled The Honors College Oral History Project was a direct result of a number of faculty who took risks fostering unconventional and unorthodox ideas by implementing new programs that are now a staple of Ball State's education. Without the support of these Honors College faculty, not only would this classroom be empty, but hundreds of students who graduated from the Honors College would not have these stories to tell. It's 11 a.m. on a cold Tuesday morning in January. The bells of the Schaefer Tower are ringing, and this incredible group of students are about to make history as many Honors College students did before them.
Which is what Ball State was when honors education came into being here. It was a teacher's college. And so to offer these kinds of academic opportunities that Rich Burkhardt had experienced, that Vic Law had experienced, that I had experienced, were the kind of educational opportunities that you had in a small liberal arts college. It really had nothing to do with being called honors this or honors that.
Vic Law had created the Honors College in the 1950s. He had a lot of problems getting it installed in the university.
Because the Teachers College was totally uncooperative. Once it was decided to become a university, then Teachers College lost its influence.
Vic and I talked often, yes. He's the classic example of the kind of person that honors loves. He loved learning, and he also loved teaching. He continued to teach for us until he was in his 90s.
Vic's title was Dean of Undergraduate Programs. He had the Honors College reported to him, 3 or 4 other programs, and so, you know, Warren reported to Vic.
Those days, because there were a lot of young faculty, especially in the English department, who were, you know, they were relegated to teaching freshman composition at a school that had virtually no admission standards, and so, you know, you're teaching to people who don't know what a verb is. And I mean, I can teach 15 honor students rather than teach them, and so they really thought that was a terrific idea. Well, the honors program was, I guess, the very definition of a program. It was very loosely structured. There were a few hundred students who more or less identified with being in the honors program. There hadn't been really very much record keeping of who was in and who was out. So the students took a year-long course, a traditional great books course, which we refer to as the humanities course. In addition, they had to do a senior thesis or creative project.
I don't think I realized the emphasis was more on becoming an educated person and not a trained person. And what I mean by that, and I think it's still true today, is that honor students, the expectation for honor students is that you're going to be much better educated when you leave here.
That was always the sell on the Honors College. It wasn't an island living, but it was a liberal arts education in a state school.
And so we had this symposium the first year, Warren Vanderhill taught it. It just taught us how to think and how to think critically and about big ideas. We would be reading books, we'd be reading, you know, New York Times articles. It was just a a vast array of different reading.
Just that learning and that want to always know more because it'll better yourself and better your surroundings is the best career preparation that the Honors College has given me.
Understanding sort of history and philosophy and art and those kinds of things rounds the individual. And if you want to be a good doctor, you have to round yourself. I mean, there are things you can do in medicine that are just very, put a scope in there and yes or no and you're done. But you certainly can't do that in oncology. And so it made me a better oncologist.
You know, how do we approach ideas in a meaningful way that makes us different people? You've maybe heard me say it in class even, you know, if you're the same person at the end of 4 years you were at the beginning, get your money back. You didn't get an education. All you got was job training, you know. And is that why we're really here?
When I was taking my honors humanities sequence, I just felt like really out of place with everybody because I thought they were all just so much smarter and they were really just had so much more to say. About a month in, people were talking and I finally felt like I could raise my hand and add to the conversation, and everybody just kind of agreed with what I had to say, and then it like sparked another conversation, and so I was very proud of that moment.
And I think that's a key thing that honors pedagogy does. It's really about helping build the whole person. So when those people go back to their major programs, they're bringing ideas and attitudes maybe and practices that wouldn't have necessarily been there in their majors.
And then I also taught 199, which was my introduction to the honor students. And at that time, Warren said, look, he says, I've got a great humanities setup of teachers and faculty. I've got good history and English and the things I need. So I don't have any science classes at all for honor students. He said, would you guys be interested in developing a science class for the students? And I said, I think a human genetics and bioethics course would be a good one, because it would be of interest to all the honors kids, whether they were science majors or not, because when you talk about human genetics, we're talking about them. And bioethics, they love that kind of stuff anyhow, and so it was a natural.
Can't iterate enough to students here at Ball State to get out of Ball State. Like Ball State has these amazing doors that are gateways to other experiences that you don't get here on campus. And to be part of the Ball State community means really being part of the larger world.
The university's new strategic plan and its total commitment to immersive learning came from the Virginia Ball Center. In fact, that's in the advertisements, it often says about the Virginia Ball Center, the birthplace of immersive learning. One of the first seminars at the Virginia Ball Center was done by Tony Edmonds, Joanne Edmonds, his wife, and Jim Rubel, the Dean of the Honors College.
One of the Honors College preview days in my junior year of high school, they were talking about immersive learning projects and the smaller hands-on projects that they do in the Honors College, and that really attracted me to being a part of it. Well, with this course, the immersive learning course on the oral history project, it's given me skills that I wouldn't have had I wouldn't have had the opportunity to have in just a normal history class.
Ball State, looking back on it now, which I didn't sense at the time, was of sufficient stature to say if you never did anything else in your life but work at Ball State, that's pretty good, you know? It's a Mid-American Conference school, it's a research institution. I, in some respects, felt like you sort of accomplished your career objective if you're a professor of history at a school like Ball State.
Honestly, the high standard that the honors classes set with the amount of reading and the amount of materials that you would need to have prepared for each class, I think that was a good standard for Harvard classes.
And honors has been so successful here that it's respected around the country. Ball State's respected around the country for having one of the best honors programs at any public university.
there was enough of a decline over about a 2-year period in the number of people who applied here, accepted in this top 20% of the freshman class based on high school GPA and verbal SAT, that we had to find some way to say, we got to get those numbers back up again. And so the Whitinger Scholars Program was designed to do a lot of things, but one of them certainly was to try to increase the number of distinction students, and it did do that.
I just didn't think that of all the students who'd been asked to apply for the scholarship that I would be someone who would be likely to get it. But then after I talked with Warren Vanderhill for a while about Mark Twain, I remembered thinking, I would like to have conversations with people like this often.
I wasn't at the time looking for how many valedictorians can I get. I think he wanted people who wanted to succeed. As part of the interview process, I remember he asked me what my favorite television show was. And I just didn't, I guess I said Charlie's Angels. And he told me, he goes, you were real and you were honest and you weren't pretentious. You were a person who he saw something in me and thought I was going to be able to achieve and be successful, and that the Whitinger Scholarship would help with that.
I think the Honors College ought to be unconventional learning as much as possible, to challenge you and make you see the world different.
So as a telecommunications major, my job is to tell stories and to tell them well. And so as I learn different stories in my honors classes and I interview people for the oral history project, I heard stories and they're able to impact the way that I tell the stories that I choose to tell.
For example, talking with like Jason Powell, when we had that one, it's like when you're in honors, you have the freedom to do what you love every single semester. You have the opportunity to do whatever projects you want, whatever research you want. So I think that that's definitely is the Honors College allowing innovation to happen.
It's because of the Honors College well, honestly, that I'm still here, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know that I could have taught composition alone for 26 years without having, humanities to also teach. Those were just delightful classes. So like I said, I don't think it's too much to say that it means just about everything in terms of my career and my education.
Ironically, as a practicing architect today, I do a lot of speaking and a lot of writing. And organizing thoughts and having the Honors College classes that really focus on that type of communication was extremely beneficial.
The more realistic goal is for you to go out into whatever world that you want to go into, whatever place in the country that you want to go into, and you just thrive in it. And you think about career not so much in terms of commercial success, but what problems am I able to solve with the ability that I have.
We were on the edge of campus in Carmichael Hall, and we very much felt that we were just that, on the edge of things, and moving to its present location centralized everything. It put the Honors College right in the heart of the university, where deservedly it should be.
But the ultimate goal from day one of honors education was to have honors in the center of campus. And that never happened until they got the house and the remodeled sorority suites.
And then we found ourselves in the Edmond, Virginia Ball Honors House. What a gift. What a gift. We've moved to the center of campus, both literally and figuratively. And that move was an important step to our recognition, to our involvement.
We had a student tell one of our student workers who was doing an appointment with a prospective student. She said, the Honors College is family and the Honors House is their home.
Even though it was renovated in 2009 and there were changes made, it was a house at the beginning in itself. It wasn't created to be a house for Honors College students in a university setting. It was created to be a house for a family. The Honors College just adopted that philosophy in the future.
But there's something about this place that the students feel, at least I felt, let's put it that way, I just felt valued. And I think in higher education, it's harder and harder for students to feel like, they're really the center of what we're supposed to be about.
humanities sequence is focused on people and developing and fostering those relationships with people. And I think the greatest thing that being part of the Honors College has taught me is it's the people that makes the community. And that's what I'm really proud to be a part of.
It's that satisfying. And I don't teach anymore, but I still work orientation for the Honors College every summer because I just want to be around that stuff still. I still enjoy it. I still like being there and meeting the students and talking with the other faculty members, and it's just part of my life.
I had that with Dr. Vanderhill. In that first week, the way he talked to us and the things he said suddenly made me feel not like a kid who just earlier that year was in high school, but I felt like a college scholar. I felt empowered. It's actually one of the important moments in my life. I try to carry that in my own teaching.
Students do colloquium classes, and they kind of they enforce you through curriculum to get together, in very specific ways, so that you have a home.
My hopes would encompass the desire that it continue to do what it's now doing well. That it look at the broad possibilities for innovation in honors education, analyze these, and adopt the ones that permit the Honors College to continue to be a leader in its work.
Thing is that it's a different university from what I left. When I first came, bear in mind, no computers, nada. Everything paper, paper, paper. As a result, I cannot really make any intelligent comment about the current state of the university. The basic law of life is change or die. And so the university has indeed changed and therefore will not die.
I mean, I'm just a kid that went through and graduated in 2020 at the end of the day, but I think overall it's all a connected legacy. Like, it's all together. All these people from the past 60 years have been a part of what has become the Honors College. And I think even if someone didn't get involved a lot or didn't do something like a project like we did, they're still a part of that history.